The New Life by Melinda Marx, adapted from La Vita Nuova by Dante Alighieri. Near the beginning of the modest novella that is my memory, there's this one little part near the beginning. And before this part, nothing really interesting happens. There's this little footnote, and it just says, "The new life starts here." And the stuff that's in this book, this real book, is about what that footnote meant. I don't know if I can convey the magnitude of that meaning, but I have to try. Chapter 2, the number 3 or the number 9. I can't tell which, but they're both important, I think. When I was 9 years old, I know that's not very poetic, when I had made my 9th revolution around the sun with my mother, the earth, and my brethren, the stars, or something like that, I saw her. She appeared. And she made me realize that the expression "in all her glory" means, because she was glory itself, and beauty, and grace, and Beatrice. I mean, Beatrice was her name, people call her that, but she was also beatific. No one could have been better suited to that name than her. And she was 9 too, just like me. She was wearing this dress. It was this muted crimson color, and it looked like she was meant to wear it always. When she passed me in the street that day, something changed. Something crept out of the deepest caves of my heart to see what I saw, and began to tremble with so much horrible ferocity that I stood there and shook from the inside out. I heard it speak to me. It talked from the inside out, and it said, "Here comes God." After that, my senses began to blaze and marvel, and I heard a voice say, "Here comes happiness." But then I felt this sadness and this helpless part of me that I'd never felt before. I could suddenly feel it, and I cried from the inside out, and I heard something inside me say, "Here comes trouble." So I guess you probably guessed that all that happened in an instant, and it happened in the instant I fell in love. Waves of love flooded me from the inside out, and my childhood washed away with them. Thinking of it now, I'm reminded of the poet Homer, because he's the one who said of a woman, "She wasn't cut from the mold of men, but of gods." And she was with me from then on, always. Love had been bold, and I was in its thrall. A terrible, virtuous love. Permanent and foreign, but somehow not insensible to reason or advice. Sometimes. For a while. But the waves still ebbed in fantastic ways. 9 again. 9 again. I was stuck in time. 9 years passed by, and she never left me. She stayed with me from the inside out until I saw her again. This time she was in white, the whitest of whites, in the company of 2 other women. They were older than her. I didn't notice what they were wearing. And then she looked at me from the outside in, into my most secret parts, and she turned to face me in the street and said, "Hello." It was a perfect hello. I thought I would drown in the waves of my bliss for a second, but only for a second. Then I felt something like a mix between shame and drunkenness. I decided then that I would retire from the human race, so I stumbled home and hid in my room. It was 3 in the afternoon. Chapter 4, The Dream. And I thought of her, and that perfect hello, and I let the sweet escape of my sleep wash over me. And when I slept, I had the most fantastic dream. In the dream, there was a fire in my room, only the fire was just colors, but it was also a man, or maybe he was the fire, or he was on fire. I don't know, but I know it was terrible to look at. But I wanted to look because it was the second most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. He spoke to me from inside this fire. He talked and talked, but I couldn't understand anything he said except this: "I am your Lord and Master." And then suddenly he was cradling something in his arms like a baby. A baby sleeping, but not a baby, a person wrapped in a blood-red sheet, but not bleeding and not dead, sleeping. And then I looked at it, and suddenly I knew who it was. And then he was still holding her, but he had something in his hand. It was on fire too, but it wasn't burning. And then he said, "Vide cor tuum." And I knew what it was. And it seemed like I was looking at it for a long time, and then he suddenly woke her up and he made her eat it. And she did, even though I could tell she was scared. And then after she ate it, he seemed happy. But then he seemed sorry and cried and screamed and gathered her in his arms again. And then they both disappeared into my ceiling. And then I felt his anguish come into me, and I was so sad that I broke, and then I woke up. Chapter 5, when I wrote it down. I needed to write this down, and I needed to tell someone what I had seen in my dream. And since I was a poet, or was trying to be, I decided to write a sonnet with a description of the dream. So I wrote one, and it went like this. For every gentle soul and plundered heart, whose pain I feel and emptiness I know, I write on your behalf and play your part, that love, the Lord of all, might see us so. The stars shone brightly in their blessed spheres, when in love's hour I was all trembling ta'en, and shone in flames the deepest of my fears, unwilling witness to love's godly pain. How he rejoiced to hold my burning heart, and laughed when he did force it to her lips. I watched as he partook, for by his art were we made dumb and helpless in his grip. But as she ate, his joy and laughter waned, and he did weep with sorrow unrestrained. Okay, so I know it's not my best work. Thank you.